term console wars. Console wars. It just sounds so pathetic, doesn't it, really? I still don't really know if I put console wars in the category of funny or just plain cancerous. I really don't. I don't. It's quite pathetic when you think about it. The idea of having long-standing arguments on Twitter or YouTube comments about what console's better. Just buy what the fuck you want. It's really not that much. But console arguments between saying like what console's better kind of died down to me. I imagine there's still many places where they happen, but in terms of me noticing it personally, it's kind of died down recently. But I tell you what sort of reignited the idea of, again, in speech marks, console wars, because let's face it, they don't really have a war with each other. I don't think they care. Well, not that much anyway. The whole idea of this, anyway, the whole idea of what brought this back to my head was I saw a tweet, and I think it was IGN, surrounding this whole idea of Fortnite having cross-platform play, which should be a thing now. They're so petty about it. It should be a thing in most games by now, I think. But that's a whole other topic. And I looked at the replies to this. It was basically them IGN tweeting out their IGN news video, which they probably put on YouTube or something. I was looking at the replies, and it's just, oh, what are you people doing? It was just full of, Xbox is better, so it should, blah blah blah. Yeah, nah, PlayStation's better. It's got more sales, which is technically true, but it doesn't really make a difference. And it just made me remember. It made me remember because there was a time, definitely in my peak of fanboyism and nerdism, I would say. I've always considered myself quite balanced between the stereotypical nerd and other people, stereotypical normal people. Sorry to put people in groups there, but generally I've always been quite level. It's like I like things like Star Wars, but not to the extent where I obsess about them. I just enjoy them. It's like that's I'm quite balanced in that respect, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that really made sense, but there was a time, and this was around exactly the same time, where the consoles that we're currently playing, the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, were getting announced. And it kind of embarrasses me to think back to it, about how involved I was in shit-talking people that, well, had Xbox. Basically, my whole upbringing, I've always been a PlayStation person. I had the PS2, which I will put money on it never being surpassed as a one-off console. I think the PS2 will never be bettered. I then went to PS3, I then went to PS4, natural progression really. I've had the PS Vita, I had the PSP, the only thing I didn't have was the PlayStation 1, which was slightly just outside of my sort of era, I suppose. But the point is, I'm a PlayStation person, and my mentality now is, if you're an Xbox person, fine. I couldn't care less. If you play PlayStation, you play PlayStation. If you're one of these people that want Nintendo to be involved in the discussion, then fair enough. I think now they've got the Nintendo Switch, they can have a right to be, but the Wii U was just was a bit of a meme, really. And then you've obviously got PC people who, in my experience of recently, are probably worse than console people, but that's not proven, is it really? Everyone's as cancerous as each other when they're like that. But 2013 was my peak fanboyism, I would say. Fanboyism isn't a word, it probably should be. I think it sounds cool. But I was proper in the camp of, if you're not getting a PlayStation, you're fucking stupid. I would be like persuading people who were wanting to get an Xbox One, like, look at the announcements, they're shit, you can't have an Xbox. Why would you get an Xbox when you've got the PS4? And in fairness, some of the announcements Xbox made, or Microsoft made, when revealing the Xbox One were pretty shit. If you remember all that internet, you have to connect to the internet daily bollocks, and you have to have Kinect installed, or you have to have Kinect essentially, and all that bollocks. And they didn't really have and it was more expensive, if I remember rightly. So but at this time, the console wars were in YouTube comments, on Twitter, on Facebook, whatever, was proper. it was going around, and I pretty much fueled that myself with people I knew. And like I say, looking back on it, I think I was just a bit of a fucking weeb, frankly. I don't actually know what weeb's something to do with anime, isn't it? I'm not for anime, so it's just weeb sounds funny. Anyway, it annoys me how much I got into that sort of thing, and I was younger anyway. How old would I have been? I would have been early teens. Either way, I was a bit of a. I got really into it for some reason, and now looking back, I think that's just fucking stupid. Like I've said many times already. For me, it's a case of you pay what you want. If you want both, or you can afford both, then fine, you can get both, can't you? If you can only afford one, make sure you look at all the choices and then go, okay, that one's for me. But it's just a bit. It's like I say, I'm not sure if it's funny or cancerous. The idea of these people sitting on Twitter and shouting, essentially what would be shouting at each other about, like I say, things that they might not even understand. Quite often these are children. Well, I was when I was a child, I was involved in it, and quite often these are people. They're probably talking about shit they don't even understand. Like it's like PS4 is DDR5. Xbox One only has DDR4, 3, whatever that. Or it's only 3. And realistically, do they actually know what that means? Do they actually realise that that won't impact on you massively? It really won't. Obviously, it kind of reignited when we had like PS4 Pro and then Xbox One X, and the Xbox One X, in terms of power, certainly looks better than the PS4 Pro. I think it's a little bit more expensive, but I might be wrong there. That reignited it all, and that gave Xbox a little bit of an edge, whereas when the original consoles were announced, it was predominantly PlayStation orientated. And it's just so sad. It's so sad, and like I say, I find it quite annoying that I involved myself in things like that. Alright, what I'm doing now, right? What I'm going to do now is I've found the tweet that I was talking about, the tweet that sort of made me think about the whole idea of a console war. And this is about Fortnite. This is the headline is Xbox wants Fortnite to have Xbox One PS4 crossplay, and then an article and a video about it. And then you look at the top like thread is this guy going, Xbox has better console exclusive series than PlayStation, right? And that's what starts it. First of all, to look at that tweet has no relevance whatsoever to what they were talking about there. Fortnite is not exactly an Xbox exclusive, is it? And it's not talking about Xbox exclusivity. It's not talking about PlayStation exclusivity. And that's the type of comment that will trigger these people. We didn't get a reply. Lamau simply laughed my ass off. I'm not joking. And then the guy replies, I'm not joking. Gears and Halo beat Uncharted and Last of Us, which again, that's always going to be a debatable one. That is, Halo before Halo 4 was bloody brilliant. I didn't particularly like Halo 4 or 5. And Last of Us is my favourite game ever. So that slightly gets into my head. And then again, the PlayStation person replies, that's all Xbox has had for the past decade. Gears and Halo. We have The Last of Us, Uncharted, Horizon, Infamous, The Last Guardian, Until Dawn, Bloodborne. I don't even know what that game is. Not Bloodborne, there's another game on there I can't say. God of War, Spider-Man, Detroit, MLB The Show, and various others. First of all, with that one, I like how he says we. It's literally got to the point where there's like factions for some people, isn't there? We are better. We are better because we have a PlayStation, not an Xbox. No, you're fucking not. It's like, and then it continues. It continues down. Then there's someone comparing sale numbers and shit like that, and it's what someone compares Halo 5 or 4.84 million in 2 to 3 years, Horizon Zero Dawn 4.67 in 1 year. I don't really know what the point in that is, because it's obviously Horizon Zero Dawn's probably not, you know. Oh, I don't know. Meh. It continues to. It gets slightly more it gets less it gets slightly more boring. We go on to another one now. The Xbox One X is better than the PS4 Pro, which is technically true. It's technically true. By the way, I loved this final kill cam I got. I was chuffed to bits with that. It doesn't look that impressive, really, does it? But in terms of my skill gap, my skill level, that's as good as we get. The next game's on the best map ever created. Don't even bother arguing. I loved this map. It was so bizarre. Anyway, the person's like, the Xbox One X is better than the PS4 Pro, which in technicality is true, but it depends on what you want, I suppose. If you want the best, the most high end, and obviously you need the 4K TV really to get the benefit from it. You get the Xbox One X, but if you don't and you just want something that looks pretty, you can go for the PS4 Pro. It's not. Don't bother arguing. And he also put hashtag mic drop, which just makes this tweet a lot more tedious. And then just someone replies, pretty weak mic drop. He responds, lol, facts are facts, I don't care. And then it becomes proper paragraphs. So, yeah, I had to sell my Xbox. It was just atrocious. I advise you to purchase a PS4. I know you might still have some strings attached to your Xbox because it's Xbox. It's sort of like an old pet that you used to love and it doesn't do much anymore. And pissed, as in psst, not pissed, as in, he's drunk too much. Don't forget double the sales. Alright. It's called like an old pet that you used to love. How? You can't not love an old pet. What the fucking comment is that? Just because they're old doesn't make them... the fuck, dude? No. Just because they're old and they don't do much anymore doesn't... Oh, well. Oh, shit. Someone sensible comes in after this point. Keep the Xbox and also get a PS4 and have the best of both. I don't understand why people choose one thing to play on LOL, but hey, more gaming for me. Well... Some of us can't afford it, but that is generally the most sensible response we've had. Now, to add to that, basically, right, you shouldn't give a shit. If your best friend, if your best friend's on Xbox and you're desperate for a PS4, you've just got to weigh it up. You just got to weigh it up. If you prefer the PS4, then that's something for the PS4, but you got to weigh up whether that's worth it more, or whether there are other people on there that you like that you wouldn't mind playing with instead of your best friend, or you just go with your best friend so you can play games together. It's not difficult. It's really not difficult. What's going on out there, cat? Sorry, my cat got really excited and that made me get excited. Anyway, stop getting distracted, man. Stop it. It's just so... Ugh. I can't put into words how much I find it to be quite pathetic. And again, I was someone that used to be like that. I've commented on YouTube like years ago saying shit like that, and it was like, ugh. That's a time in my life I would rather put in the bin, frankly. Is there any more funny ones in here? Because if there is, I'll just stop. But I see a lot of Xbox haters on here. How is y'all's third PS4 running? My day one Xbox is still going What? What kind of argument's that? My PS4 was day one. Well, not day one, but it was close enough. It's still fine. What kind of reference is that? It's technology. Some of them are going to go wrong. That's like, I mean, if you have an iPhone X or whatever it's called, and it breaks, that doesn't make the iPhone 10X, whatever the fuck it's called, shit. There are many other things that make it shit, but it doesn't make it that's stupid logic. This is the thing with this, again, in quotation marks, console wars. The logic is flawed in every single way. It's so pathetic and petty, and things like that is a common thing. Our Xbox, what was that? Was it Xbox or PlayStation that the rumours started coming around that one of them was leaking? Was that actually happening? And if so, how's that happen? Because I'm genuinely curious about that. But this genuinely happens a lot. And the most problems I've had ever with a console, I would say, is my PS3, which is obviously quite old now. It occasionally struggles to sort of register. It's got a disc in it, and it will load. It will be like it's loading for it. It's like it's registering. There's a disc there, and it just won't. It will stop after about 5 minutes. But other than that, I don't have any issues with my consoles, not whatsoever. And it's shit like that like, ugh. But ultimately, this is on a feed that people. This is on a Twitter feed, in case you don't use Twitter. I don't know. That people who have a PlayStation and people who have an Xbox should be both behind, like massively, and yet all of the top tweets pretty much are all just bickering about which fucking console's better. It shouldn't matter. It really should not matter that much to you. Ultimately, I hope Fortnite does get cross-platform play, and I hope it works in a way that, it means you can play with it. Cross-platform, I don't understand why it's not a thing in certain games already. It should be. I know you've got like Xbox and PC, and I think Rocket League was PlayStation and PC. I think I could be wrong there. Why not just come together now? Come on, stop this bullshit. Like I say, the companies themselves, as much as they obviously want to be one up each other and they want more sales and whatnot, I guarantee there's no hard blood between them. So why do people who buy the consoles have to have this sort of stupid, petty argument? And so that's pretty much my view on it. Like I say, this went wrong. Why are certain things you can't wall run on in Black Ops 3? I've never understood that. What was I going to say? Yeah, ultimately my point is I used to be someone like this, and I now very much see the error in my ways. I also, as someone that, as I've said, I'm very much in the PlayStation camp. I've had an Xbox 360 in the past. That's pretty much as far as I've gone, and everyone had a Wii, so that's pointless, isn't it? Everyone had a Nintendo Wii. But if I could not care less if you want an Xbox, is what I'm saying. And no one should. If you're someone who's on Xbox, you shouldn't give a shit that someone wants a PlayStation. It's fairly petty, pointless, and not worth your time in arguing. Like I said, that wraps up my thoughts on it. I'll be interested to hear what other people think. So, comment section. Leave. Are you a fanboy? Do you like being able to talk shit on people for their consoles? I'll be interested to see someone's view on that. If there is someone out there that sort of enjoys the whole console war bollocks, or are you someone that is associated with one and you agree? Do you disagree? Whatever your view, shove it in the comments. If you enjoyed, subscribe. That'd be great. Follow me on Twitter as well. That'd be the top line of description. I want more tweet people. No other reason than for other people to see me tweet shit. That's literally it. It inflates your ego. I'm joking, obviously, but my Twitter will be the top line of the description. I say if you enjoyed, subscribe and all that. And that brings us to the end. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.